It's a Guy Jeans podcast.
Hey, you guys, welcome to the podcast. This is Guy Jeans. This is season 3, if you can believe it, episode number 94. Crazy, man. So this is the second year of my podcast. I want to thank you guys all for listening and supporting the podcast. Again, if you guys are listening, wherever you guys are getting your podcast, please write a review. It helps the podcast grow, and it's really appreciated. Today's guest is Drake Maples. He's the president of Paramount Outdoors. And I want you guys to check this out, man. These guys have an amazing set of fly fishing gear, waders, headwear, sun clothes, that sort of thing. Go to ParamountOutdoors.com and check it out. So it's great stuff. And they've got like 14 different waders, zippered waders, to wader pants, all that kind of stuff. And the price is right. So if you guys want to check those out, go to ParamountOutdoors.com and definitely check that out. So here he is, you guys, Drake Maples from the business Paramount Outdoors. Hi, Drake. How you doing?
Good, Guy. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm checking out your bio, man, and you're quite the businessman.
Well, I don't know. I just seem to be the guy that never goes away. Just keep bouncing back, you know?
That's awesome. I want to talk to you about your new company, Paramount Outdoors, which is really cool. You got some great waders and boots and clothing and all that kind of stuff. But let's go back a little bit. When you first started, it looks like you've been in the outdoor industry since 1990.
Yeah. I started off on the sales side of the industry after getting out of graduate school and going on and had to get a real job. You know, it's like everybody else. You start having kids and it's trying to get busy and get a real job. So got lucky and got into the industry. And on the fishing tackle side, I started off as the Fenwick rep of all things.
No way.
And started off there and ended up being on the manufacturing side for years. And as you can see, ended up being at Hodgman for several years. And then ended up at Paramount over the last 4 years, Paramount International, which is based out of Bourbon, Missouri. And then we bought the Paramount Outdoor brand in July and moved it to northern Alabama, of all places, and have been kind of rocking and rolling since then. Building waders for the last 3 years with Paramount and doing headwear. Paramount historically was the largest American cap manufacturer in the country for many, many years. Started in 1929. Do a ton of headwear, and so we still do a lot of branded caps. We do a lot of caps for Bass Pro and Cabela's. We do a lot for a lot of folks around the industry.
Yeah, I was checking out everything that you've done. It's incredible, man. You've been in this industry for a long time. And I want to. Can I talk to you about Fenwick for a second too? I mean, Fenwick's still going, right?
Yeah, they still are. Yeah, they're all part of. I think Pure Fishing owns them now.
Yeah.
They were all part of. When we first took that thing on, it was all Tom Bedell had just picked it up with Berkeley. Mm-hmm. And we did that for a few years back in the early 90s. And it was still some of the old original blanks. They had a great rod line back in those days. In fact, I've still got some old iron feathers that I've had for 30 years.
I've got a Fenwick rod still, too.
Yeah, they're great.
They must have sold a ton of rods, man. I mean, back in the day, they were the ones, right?
Yeah, they really were. In fact, it was great for me as a sales guy back in those days. I was living in Texas and had a lot of great customers all along the Gulf Coast and all around Central Texas area. In fact, interestingly enough, when George Bush Jr. was running for governor in Texas, I had a friend of mine who was guiding at Richland Chambers Lake, and he called me one morning and needed some Fenwick rods for a special customer that was coming out that day. And of course, me being me, I insisted, look, dude, I got to fish off the front of the boat. You know, if I'm going to come and bring your rods, I got to get on the water. So, got to go out and fish with those guys for a day and had a lot of fun with it. It was a great line.
Are you a fly fisherman?
I am.
Oh, okay. So you were using the Fenwick fly rods back then?
Actually, at that time, yes, I was. But most of the area of Texas that we were in was mostly bass country. So I was selling a lot of bass rods. And they were doing a lot of fiberglass rods. They did a lot of cranky rods and big crankbait rods at that time, and not very much fly rod, not very many fly rods in that part of the world at that time. And but since that time, I've been a flag guy for, well, really, I got heavily into it really when I was at Hodgman back in the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy that owned the company was a hardcore flag guy by the name of Ron Foster. Ron bought the company back in the 1970s. And we did an annual trip every year that we would go and fish the park. We'd go to Montana and fish the park for a week.
Nice.
And it was great. I mean, we had a tremendous group of guys that used to fish together every year. And well, I learned a lot. I was really fortunate in those days to be able to coattail with some guys who had been in the industry a long time, and gave me an opportunity to learn.
Yeah.
So,
are you involved, or were you involved like with these other companies in like the marketing and of the companies, or what did you do with these other companies? Is it pretty much the same thing that you're doing with Paramount?
in a sense, when I was with Hodgman, I was the sales guy.
Okay.
I was their VP of sales at Hodge for about 8 years, and towards the end of that, they were sold in 2004. Hodgman had been around since the 1830s, was the oldest wader company. Started off making rubber boots, believe it or not, making sewer boots in New York City back in the 1830s. Had been around for a long time.
Oh man, I didn't know that.
And so it was my job there was to grow the sales business. We did that. The company was sold to a Jarden company in 2000 at the end of 2004. So I left there and went to a little bitty company at that time called Frog Talks. It was a very, very small little fledgling company at that time, mostly regional sales, and took over their sales and marketing side, and as well as their sourcing side. I've been fortunate enough. I'm kind of a weird animal in the industry guy. I do the sales piece, but I also do a lot of the development side and product work. And so I've been working in Asia for many years, and so went to Frog Talks, took over that role, and became their CEO, and was their CEO for about just under 10 years. Left there and started another little wader company called Compass 360. Great little wader line. With two other guys, we started it and got it up and running. And unfortunately, in 2018, one of the partners got cancer and died. And so just the dynamic of the company changed. And so we ended up selling that company and recruited on board with the guys at Paramount. So it has been you never know. I'm in my early 60s, and so you never know where you're going to land. And I never thought I'd be the old guy in the wader business. But I am.
All good, man. I love it.
It's like the Entertainer Bunny. I just never stop. You just got to keep on going.
So Paramount's relatively new. Is that correct?
Yeah, in the wader side, absolutely new. We started making waders 3 years ago.
Okay.
And Paramount International is an old company, but their specialty was headwear and T-shirts. And so when I went on, I was hired on board with them to really kind of take that outdoor division and figure out where it needed to go. So we expanded headwear, and we added the wader line, honestly, because it was just something that I had a lot of experience with, and we felt like there was a hole in the market we wanted to be out and fill. So the wader line's been around for 2 or 3 years. We sell waders to a lot of big box guys. We're also selling a lot of small independent retailers. In fact, the only place that I really have not gotten as far out there as we need to is out west where you guys are.
Yeah, you sent me some waders, man. And you sent me the Slate Guide Z pant and the Deep Eddy wader, and those are beautiful waders, man, and super comfortable.
Well, good. Yeah. Those waders are coming from a factory in South Korea. I've been working with this same factory since 1995. And they build a great product. We've been really pleased to be involved with the Korean factory and using Korean materials. It is where a lot of factories have gone to China and other countries to save money. We pay a little bit more, but we feel like we just, a wader really has one job, Guy, better than me. I mean, it's got one job, and that's to not leak.
Right. Exactly.
So the return rate on the waders coming out of Korea is less than 1%. So wow. We've been really pleased. They do a great job, and it's a relationship deal. It's kind of like the industry. Everybody knows everybody, and the Korean guys I've worked with for a long time got to know the family that owns the factory really well, and so they do a great job and build a terrific product.
So when you go to South Korea and you go there, are you like coming? You have like an idea, and then you start talking to the manufacturer. Here's what I want to do with this wader. I want to put different layers here in the leg so they don't leak, and I want pockets here, and I mean, you're going through the whole design with them, or is it somebody designs it here and then they go there and say, hey, make this?
Yeah, and it's it's a little bit of both. I mean, most of it after having done it for as many years as we have, we have a lot of it will start off with an idea where we're trying to target a particular price point. We're trying to work on a certain retail number where we can get to a price. Because we have a lot of customers. We do a lot of work with retailers who buy. There's a lot of Sims retailers out there that we work with as well. And I've known Casey Walsh and that group of guys for many, many years. And they have a great brand. They've done a great job at building a wader line. And so, but they are really going to be the higher end of the in the good, better, best strategy for retailers. They're the best. They've really dominated that brand. Those guys, the Patagonia guys, have done a great job and built a great product. And so we've got to come in below them. When you have a lesser known brand and you're really trying to build something, our target in the wader business is always build a value driven brand. Build a great product, but build it where, the barrier to entry for a young guy is not crazy. You don't have to spend $600-700 to get a pair of waders.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And so it's gotten to be just really nuts. But and I'm a blue collar kid that grew up in Texas without much, and just always thought heck, we can build a great product for $200.
Yeah.
And so we'll do that, and then we'll get an idea where we're trying to be on price, and then having worked with the factory for a long time, we can look at what the labor is, what the fabric usage is, what type materials we're using, and what the breathability ratings are, what the durability ratings are within the materials and the fabric and the components. And then we'll kind of build it backwards. We do a lot of really interesting design work before going to the factory. Then I'll sit down at the factory, go through it with the pattern makers and with the factory owner and with the factory design guys, and make sure that it works. Sometimes I can sit down and draw something out on paper that looks cool, but may or may not work.
Right.
When you cut and sew it. But we'll put it together at the factory, and we'll make some samples. We'll get it out and send it out to our sales guys out in the field. Or I've got a couple of key customers around the country who are really good at looking at the wader market to see where it is. Many of them are carrying higher end waders than ours, but they bring us in more as what they would consider their entry level, or they're at $150 to $200 price points.
Right.
And that's kind of where we live. We feel like it's our place in the wader market is how to build it's really the heritage of the old Hodgman days. Hodgman always, Ron always wanted to be Sims, but he also knew where his place needed to be on the grand scale of selling products. So we've kind of, with Hodgman being gone these days, they were sold a couple of times and unfortunately just kind of have faded away over the last 20 years.
What marketing those guys had, huh?
Oh yeah.
It just seems like you would go into, out here in the West, you'd go into a sports chalet, it's just all Hodgman, and everybody had Hodgman on, and it was just like this marketing machine, man. Yeah,
they had back in those days, we had about a 70% market share on the wader side. And of course, when breathable waders came out in the mid 90s, they really dominated it, came out with a really good product. And Ron Foster, the guy that owned the company, was a great guy. Interesting flag. I knew the market really well. And I got lucky. I got to coattail with him, and he taught me a lot there, and spent a lot of time on the factory side getting to learn how they were making that product.
What's going to be like some of your obstacles, or what has been some of your obstacles? Like getting it out there and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
What's that like?
Well, it's, brand loyalty is a big deal in the industry, as you know. I mean, you and I have our favorite reels, and we have our favorite rods, and we have a lot of our favorite products, and
right.
and we, we've all fished those items for a long, long time, and so it's really putting your brand in front of the customer and doing it where they can learn who the brand is and begin to search out the product. The biggest challenge that we have is, when I bought Paramount this year, and Guy, I'll be really transparent with you, we just, we don't have an endless supply of money.
Yeah.
And so as opposed to going in and throwing millions of dollars in marketing the brand, our philosophy is put it on the water. Find some guides, get a good guide here and there who needs, guides are always in need of good product. Get a good field staff of guys out there wearing your product.
Smart.
Get it on the shelf in some key retailers, and it'll be a word of mouth deal, and it'll grow.
Yeah.
And back it up with good customer service. That's the real key for us. I mean, one of the biggest challenges today, I think, is customer service in the wader business, as well as, returns are always a question that people have.
Yeah.
What happens if it leaks, or what happens if it falls apart? I mean, what happens if it fails? And the answer is we've got to back that up and take care of that. So we do our facility here in Alabama. We do a lot of testing. We built I've got a giant stainless steel test tank. So we get guys who send waders back. Oh yeah, guys who send waders back to us. We test them, look at them, we fix them, or we replace them, depending on you know if we have a 1-year warranty on all of our wading products. And if it fails within the first year after you buy it, we'll either fix it or send you another one.
Wow, that's a good deal.
It's a way to get started. It's the way we did it at Hodgman back in the day. And so I think the biggest challenge we have is just brand recognition. People are still learning who we are, and you know how the industry is. It's slow. And it takes time. Nobody steps into it quickly. There's a few guys on the apparel side who've done a great job. Building some really cool products and sunglasses. They're some of my favorite brands out there I watch in the industry. The Bahio guys have been interesting to watch. They've really come on strong. So there's a lot of brands that hit the market that come on strong. We're probably going to be a little slower than that. We're gonna grow slow and steady, and try to keep my banker from going too crazy trying to keep up with it.
Right. That's awesome. What?
Yeah.
Are you guys doing any shows or anything? Are you going to be at any shows doing that? Or
we're not doing any consumer shows at the moment. We bought the company in July, so we've only been 6 months into it on our nickel here. But we do we'll be at the ICAST show in summertime. Okay. Fishing show down in Orlando. We do that show and work with a lot of our retailers there. And we do some regional buying shows. We work with some buying groups within the industry that are independent retailers that all come together, and we do some small shows for them. And then we will probably begin next fall, going into spring of 25, we'll start working on consumer shows and, doing some of the old FFF shows and some of the fly fishing shows that are out there.
So do you guys have somebody that goes to let's say Bass Pro and then they got to try to sell the product into the store? How does that go down? Is there somebody that takes all the product there and gives a demonstration?
We do it a couple different ways. We've got sales reps around the country that I've worked with in many cases for many years. And so we'll have a sales rep group that's an independent rep. Yeah. And they'll go in and work with the Bass Pros, or they'll work with the Dick's Sporting Goods, or they'll come out west where you guys are. And some of the old guys out west are all gone. That's the crazy part of it. Yeah. The old G.I. Joe's guys are gone, and Sports Chalet is all now gone. But so the industry's changed quite a bit, especially out west. And but we'll have independent sales guys, and then honestly, what happens for me is I get to jump on an airplane and go sit down and make those presentations a lot. And it's just part of the waiter business. Is a very niche little world. It's pretty small, and a lot of it is a trust factor. With a lot of our retailers out there, they want to make sure they're not buying some product that's going to fail or that they're going to have to get stuck with. And the only way they do that is they put me on the hook for it. Yeah. And, I sit down with them and say, guys, here's what we're going to do. And fortunately, having been the waiter guy for a long time now, I know most of these guys. And so they're pretty accepting of, Drake has never hosed us in the past. So let's give it a try.
So when you sell something like that, like in one of those big box stores, what's that like? I mean, you make a big sale. It must be like a really cool feeling, huh?
Can be. Yeah, it can be. I mean, it can be really exciting. I mean, it's a challenge because what you also learn is working with these big box guys can be a real challenge. Working with the independents is fun. Yeah. I'd almost rather work with the smaller independent guys because they're just fun. Most of them are really passionate about the industry. They're passionate, especially fly shop guys, because they're passionate about being in the fly industry. They love it. And so I love working with smaller guys. It's less money, but it's a lot more satisfying because you got guys who really care about the industry. The big box guys are probably less that. I mean, they tend to be more business driven. They've got a lot more bean counters in the backside of that business looking at the numbers. And so it's less passion and more business. But the number on our side, the volume is always important. So it feeds our team here. We've got a small group of people that we want to take care of their families, and we're a family-owned company. My son actually does a lot of our e-com work and does a lot of our inside marketing here. And so we got to have those big guys as well. But it helps push that brand out there as well.
Yeah, I counted. You guys have. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys have like 14 different types of waiters. Is that correct?
That's this year. Yeah, we do.
And that's incredible, man. That's a lot of work. just to get all those different ones, right?
There is.
Yeah.
And the biggest challenge is trying to carry inventory on all those things as well. I mean,
Absolutely, huh?
As you know, waders don't fit everybody. I mean, it is the craziest business. I get a lot of guys. I spend a lot of time on the phone. We love guys who call us and they say, "Look, I got a 50-inch chest, but I've got a 27-inch inseam, and nothing fits me." And the answer is, "Dude, you're just not meant to wear waders. You're just not."
Sounds like one of my friends.
There's a lot of those guys out there, or you get the guys who are just really tall, skinny guys, and it's really hard to fit them as well. So it's a challenge to get. We try to tell everybody we try to fit 80% of the customers out there.
Yeah,
and but we carry a wide variety of styles. We'll have more coming this year. I've got a new line coming out in we'll have it in April of 24. That'll be a fly shop exclusive line. It'll be strictly for the fly shop guys. We'll keep it out of the big box guys. We're trying to make our philosophy of this whole thing too, guys. We want our independents to make money, and to be able to do that, we do a lot of crazy things. We do a lot of what we call map pricing especially on online sales. It's always a challenge for a fly shop guy to buy a wader, and then the customer walks into a store and finds it, for sale on Amazon or somewhere else for 30% less, and that just kills that retailer. Yeah. And so we're pretty big on trying to keep pricing where the guys can make money, and try to make it as fair as we can for everybody. So we're not healthy if the customer's not healthy.
Yeah. And you guys have, I'm going to go, the Meridian Z zippered chest wader. Yep. Is a really nice wader. It's zippered. It's a zippered one with a waterproof zipper and everything for $350. I mean, that's right. What a great deal.
It is a great product. And we built that. I cheated a little bit on that. I followed the lead on the Sims G3. They did a great thing by the way they built that lower body where they really come up over the butt. That's a great product for, if you got a guy who's in a drift boat all day and he's wearing his butt out rowing that boat, that product is phenomenal. It's got a 6-ply legging that comes up over the butt, and it really is a well-made product. We moved the leg seams to the front of the actually the outside of the thigh, so you don't have that inside leg seam. If you got a heavy set guy, he's not rubbing those seams together. And then that zipper, we're buying the zipper out of Germany. That's the T-Zip zipper program is a great product. We don't. Back in the 90s, we tried to make a zippered wader at Hodgman, and we were using a different European zipper, just never really held up as well. And that particular zipper on that wader has been so strong, and we're building them at the Korean factory, and we sell that product. Our retailers can sell that product for $350 to $399. I think that's the price range we generally find it in, and it's a killer product. I mean, it's been I had a meeting. I was in Pulaski, New York last week. I don't know if you've ever fished that Salmon River area, upstate New York.
No.
They've got a great salmon run in the fall, and one of the last great American salmon runs. It's just amazing. And we got a lot of small guys there's about 5 guys up on that river that all carry that wader and have had tremendous success with it. So it's fun to go sit down with those guys and hear all the good stories,
Isn't it? I bet.
Yeah. It is a ball.
I have, I do a lot of teaching, fly fishing, and I do a lot. I don't know if you know this, but I own a fly shop, on the Kern River out west. And,
I did my homework there, big boy.
Oh, you did? Okay. All right.
Absolutely. Okay. No, you guys got a great spot out there.
Thank you. And I do a lot of, we're pretty close to the coast too. So not only do we have the Kern River, I do a lot of teaching in the surf, for surf species, and you guys also have a booted wader as well.
We do. Yeah, we do. We have several, and there are more coming this year. We've expanded this year as well. That's not in your book, but we've gone into the waterfowl industry as well. Started building some breathable camouflage waders for the hunting for the waterfowl industry. Mostly that, that's a real central flyway that runs from Minnesota all the way down into Arkansas, Texas, Louisiana. We've stayed in that market. It's not for us. We've really focused more on the fly side of the industry. We feel like the fly business is what we know. And I grew up on the Gulf Coast in Texas, so I spent a lot of time doing surf fishing as well.
Did you?
So that saltwater deal is, in fact, that's the wader. It's called the slate wader. Was really developed for fishing in. I was fishing in Port O'Connor down along in a big bay, saltwater bay, and you're wading could be a quarter mile away from the boat where you're tied up. You need to be able to carry all your stuff. And so we built a kind of an extra large pocket on that guy, so we could, you carry all your crap with you, not have to go back to the boat every time you need to get something out.
I love it. Absolutely cool, man. I can't believe how many different styles of waders you guys have. It's unbelievable. It's really cool.
Well, it's when you look at the Sims of the world and you look at some of our competitors, there's a lot of product out there, and there are a lot of options. And so we try to fit the bill for the entry level guy. We have some very, very simple designs that are, the entry level piece for a guy that, a young guy could even buy a youth wader for $100.
Yeah.
All the way up to a guide product. So that's a good high quality product. It's, Sims has always had a great guide program, but it's still expensive for those guys who are rowing those boats. You know how that works. You got guys that work in your shop. It's big money, and they've got, and half their clients don't have the gear when they get out there to go fishing anyway. So half the time the guide is supplying waders and rods and all the gear out of the store as well. So we try to build a kind of a cross section, anything from $300 down to $100 retail. That's kind of where we live, and make it. But at the same time, I have a tendency to look at the industry and go, it's not junk. I mean, we're making a really good product. So you can do it. You just have to focus on what the value of that product is. And we got into the fly fishing side years ago, but we started like a lot of people. We had no money, and we just wanted to learn how to do it. I think my first rod I ever had was one of those old Scientific angler rods and Scientific angler reels. Those old combos that they used to have back in the day. Yeah. And little 9'5" weight was that's what I started with. I had to learn everything on that. So I would attend a class like yours and go, show me how to do this. I don't get it.
Yeah. So what's South Korea like?
South Korea is interesting. It's great manufacturing. I mean, they do of course, you can look at the car industry. They've started building all the Hyundais, and there's a lot of Korean manufacturing coming out of there. The nice thing too is the U.S. has a free trade agreement with South Korea, so we can bring in products from Korea.
Oh, okay.
And the product costs a little bit more, but you don't have all the duty and extra taxes coming into the country that you would have from other places.
Okay.
So from a value perspective, you get a really good quality product. What's happened really from a historical perspective, I think, guys, that they were occupied by the Japanese during the war, and after that, they took a lot of influence from the Japanese, and so Korea has followed that market. They've got a great work ethic there. They've got and they focus on really high quality. And so some things are just it makes me a little nuts. I do some business in Japan as well.
Oh, do you?
And the quality level is really their deal. That's what they focus on.
So when you go there, you go to the factories, you talk to the families that manufacture there and all that kind of stuff. Do you ever get a chance to go fishing there in that area, like fly fishing? Is there any fly fishing in there?
Very, very rarely. Well, actually, Korea has an interesting little fly scene going on. It's all really small water. Yeah. It's mostly mountain streams.
Oh, cool.
It's 3-weight and 4-weight stuff. It's really small. And it's got an interesting little committed crowd of Korean guys who are out there fishing. In fact, the wader factory that we work with has a local Korean line of waders that they built just for the Korean market. And that was one of the guys who founded the factory was an avid fly guy. First guy I'd ever met, Korean guy that was actually a fly guy, which was, I thought at the time was really crazy. I thought, there's no fly fishing in Korea, but there is.
That's cool.
And so they started the factory and he has unfortunately since passed away, but they still have that influence of that local market. And Korea is an interesting place. I'm very happy to be in the United States, as you can imagine. But South Korea is a good spot. They've got great stuff going on. Do
you feel safe when you go there? I mean, is it kind of like that kind of a vibe, or do you have to be careful?
Oh no. South Korea is just like being in it's a pretty dense population. It's like being in any major city anywhere really. But no, safety factor is not an issue at all. I've got typically the factory is in a little town called Incheon, and Incheon is about an hour outside of Seoul. The South Korean capital. So occasionally I'll go in, I'll take an extra day and just go into Seoul and do a little shopping and mess around, have some great Korean food.
Yeah.
And, life is like fly fishing. It's all about the experience. So
absolutely.
You got to enjoy it while you're there. And so, yeah, South Korea is great. Now, there are other places that we go that we build products in that are not quite so interesting. And I build a lot of headwear in Bangladesh, and Bangladesh can be a challenge just because it's hot and sweltery and rough and doesn't have quite the refined nature that the Koreans have.
Okay.
But great suppliers over there, though.
Tell me about your headwear.
Headwear, we got Paramount's been in headwear since 1929. The apparel company that we come from, our parent company, and build a lot of product. They have a golf line. If you're ever in the golf industry, there's a line of caps called Imperial.
Oh yeah,
Imperial is the official cap of the PGA. They do a tremendous volume of visits with greengrass golf guys, and so Imperial. I've worked very closely with the Imperial guys for the last 4 years at Paramount. And so we piggyback a lot of things on what Imperial does, from fabrics to construction to a lot of the high quality things that they do. We follow in that with the Paramount caps that we do. So we do a lot of pre-decorated caps, which is kind of an interesting trend. We started following guys like Howler Brothers, who I'm sure you've seen.
Of course, yeah.
We started following the Howler Brother guys. We started following there's a group out of Austin, another group out of Austin, Texas called Duck Camp. There are several guys out there young guys. And again, I'm an old guy, so I have to really refer back to these younger guys who are in their 20s and 30s. You just have a different kind of mindset. They, you know, not only do they want to be in the outdoors, but they want to look good. They want to have the cool factor. And so we started watching that, and I realized we've got again, I'm cheating as my son is 34 and Jake's pretty tight. He's tied into that community. And I said, we got to start, we got to build some better product. It can't just be about logos. It can't just be about a branded cap. It's got to be about the cool factor. How do you build a great cap that looks cool that a young guy wants to buy?
Yeah.
And we kind of came to the conclusion that men are funny animals, even though we know that already. But whereas women buy purses and shoes to accessorize, there's a whole group of men out there who buy caps.
Oh my gosh.
That's their fashion accessory. And I never realized that there were guys out there that might own 100 caps.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And it's so we started building for that market, and it's been wildly successful. We blow through thousands and thousands of caps here. Yes. Even since we bought the company, our e-com business over the holidays this last month has just been crazy.
Oh, that's great.
But
awesome.
It's a fun business. Now it changes. It's a trendy market.
Yeah.
And so we've got a lot of fishing hats that we do. We do a lot of things with salmon and with brown trout. We do a lot of fun things that represent our sport. And so it's and the quality of the headwear is great. The caps that we sell typically retail for about $30.
Yeah.
So they're not cheap. It's the cap market has changed a lot. The old days when you and I were kids, they were $10 caps, so now $30 caps.
Yeah, exactly.
But
you guys got some great logos. You guys a total variety of different fly fishing caps, even. Fly or die, and you got bass, and you got trout, and all that kind of stuff. It looks great.
Yeah, we kind of took, and this was where the old guy was beneficial, because I went back and pulled some themes from the Grateful Dead and some great old rock and roll themes that I loved as a kid. And we tried to integrate them into some cool designs. So it not to steal from those guys, but to just play on what they do. So it was a lot of fun.
So you guys are involved with Mossy Oak as well?
We have been. That's actually a carryover from the Paramount Apparel days. We did a lot of work with Mossy Oak. We built a line of apparel for them, and built a line that we did for retailers around the country. That is, since we've purchased Paramount Outdoor, we will change some of that. We'll still continue forward with some of the lightweight fishing, the high performance fishing shirts. We'll have some of that going forward, but a lot of the old camo pieces are going away. We have decided that the camo apparel business is probably not who we are long term. And again, it's like you guys are on the Kern River. The fly world, and that's what we know, and that's what we care about. So we're going to continue to expand in that direction.
Oh, awesome! And then you guys also have jackets. Are you guys going to stay in the jacket world as well? Or?
Yeah, we will. We'll do that. I mean, we've got right now we just do some wading jackets that are very traditional style wading jackets, and our goal is to be, a really nice waterproof, breathable, lightweight jacket that we can be at around $100 to $120 retail. Still trying to keep it at that value price point, all really well made products. The benefit is, having been the CEO at Frog Talks for 10 years, we learned we made some great products with a variety of manufacturers there. Now we won't go any of the non-woven pieces, the lower end pieces, but we've got some great rainwear suppliers that we'll continue to work with, and we'll expand that. We're doing a sportsman's jacket for the guys up on the Salmon River that we just finalized last week.
Nice.
Those guys love pockets. I mean, it's the craziest thing you've ever seen. We'll have a new wading jacket out that'll have about 30 pockets on it, which is kind of crazy.
Oh my gosh, awesome.
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like having a vest and a jacket together.
Exactly.
But we made it back in the day at Hodge. We made that piece, and it sold like crazy, and now we still have people asking for it. So we will continue to do that, and we're kind of anxious to keep that rolling. We do a lot of work in Canada as well.
Uh-huh.
We do a big job for the guys at Canadian Tire. Canadian Tire actually started selling they've gotten hard into the wader business in the last couple of years. So
very cool.
they still love neoprene up there, which is kind of weird for our market in the South. But I travel to Canada and work closely with those guys, and the answer is, Drake, it's cold. It's cold up here, man. It's cold. It's Canada.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, guys, I get it, but geez, Louise, I've gotten so far removed from neoprene, it's just I don't wear it anymore.
So you're in Alabama. Are you doing any fly fishing there?
A little bit, not much.
Yeah?
We're in a little town called Gunnersville, which is right on Lake Gunnersville. Big, huge impound that's a part of the Tennessee River. We've got about 70,000 acres in the lake here, so we'll get out and. We're the freaks here in Alabama. This is bass country here.
I know, yeah. It's
when you wade out and you're just fishing for panfish, or you're throwing a little 7-weight or a little 8-weight.
Uh-huh.
All the guys in the bass boats go flying by and they look at you like you're crazy, but that's okay. We're having fun.
Yeah.
And we're only about 4 hours from the mountains of Carolina, so we can go up and fish the Davidson up in the mountains. We do a little backpacking as well, so we get up and hit some sections of the AT Appalachian Trail there, and do some fishing along the trail. So, yeah, we can fly fish a little. The mountains of the Carolinas are really pretty sweet. Now it's a lot of smaller fish.
Yeah.
Not like you guys have out west. These are little brookies that are, a big fish is going to be a pound.
Yeah.
So, but the thrill is still the same. Getting into the rhododendron up in the mountains up there and fishing little bitty water and fishing like a 4-weight. Just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm a bass geek too on the fly, so I totally get it. We have, in the lower current here, we have smallmouth and largemouth in the river, which is a blast, and then we have striped bass nearby, so we do a lot of that. It's just fun, and I'm totally into it. So.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. I mean, the place that like I told you, I was up in salmon country last week in upstate New York, and that's a place that I've only gotten to go really fish. I've spent a lot of time working, but never fishing. So we're trying to set aside some time next fall. The salmon run starts in August.
Okay.
And it is incredible. I mean, they're pulling 30 and 40 pound salmon out of that river.
Wow.
And all on flies. And so it's a pretty sweet place to go. It's just continuing to expand the fly fishing world, try something new.
One of the things, about my podcast is I have people on my podcast just like you that are a lot of people that are entrepreneurs, but into business and that sort of thing. Or it could be music, it could be whatever it is, but whatever it is, whatever genre they're in, the reason why they're successful is that they're going after their passion,
Sure.
And you can obviously hear it in your voice, how you're still passionate even in your 60s. You're like passionate about your products, and it's just really cool to hear about your company.
I appreciate that. It's why else do we do it? I've worked my whole life. I'm probably going to continue doing this for a while. I don't have any intention of walking away. It's just what I do, and where else? I mean, think about where you guys are. I mean, where else would you rather be? Is on a river somewhere.
Exactly.
And if you can do it and make a living doing it, all the better.
Absolutely. Well, Drake, thank you so much for sharing me your Paramount Outdoors company and everything that you guys do. Amazing. I hope that you guys get a lot of waiter sales just from people hearing this podcast, man.
Well, I appreciate the guy, and we appreciate you guys giving us a chance to be on air and work with you guys. And the podcast world has changed the way people are listening to the news and listening to what they hear every day. And And we really appreciate you guys having us on.
And thanks for sending those waders, man. Those are awesome.
Yeah, you bet, man. If you need anything else, let me know. We'll get you square.
Thanks, buddy. All right, man.
All right, man.
Take care.
Talk to you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. With everything going on in the world today, right now could be the best time ever to diversify your retirement savings with precious metals like gold and silver. I just bought some precious metals myself, and I got them from the top-rated company, Goldco. They couldn't have made the process easier, and their customer service was impeccable. Goldco has helped thousands of people just like you and me place over $2.5 billion in gold and silver. They're rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. They've earned over 5,000 5-star reviews. They're a 7-time Incorporated 5,000 winner. And that's just mentioning a few of their accomplishments. There's plenty more. Right now, for my listeners, they're offering up to $10,000 in bonus silver. You heard that right, up to $10,000 in bonus silver, but only while supplies last. Go to goldco.com/guy to learn more. That's goldco.com/guy. Diversify your savings with gold and silver today at goldco.com/guy.
It's a Guy Jeans podcast.